Good afternoon, Cross Timbers. Today is Monday, October 5th, 2015. This is Texan TV News from Tarleton State University campus in Stephenville, Texas, and I am Katie Armstrong. In campus news, according to the Tarleton's website, at 5 a.m. today, Stephenville Police Department began dispatching Tarleton State University police officers on all traditional police calls. This will include life-threatening emergencies, non-life-threatening emergencies, and calls to report crime. All emergency calls from on-campus extensions as well as personal cell phones should immediately dial 911. A member of the campus community should contact the Stephenville Police Department's non-emergency number at 254-918-1273 to report a crime or to request an officer. Police were not available this morning by deadline to comment on the changes in the new protocol. The Tarleton Control Center can still be contacted at 254-968-9002 during normal business hours of 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. In regional news, according to the Stephenville Empire-Tribune, the first ever Sundown on the Square celebration, with this year's theme being a over-the-shoulder glance at the 1970s, will cap off a day of family fun and nostalgia on Saturday, October 10th. Organizers Meta Collier and Marion Cole say the event will take place around the Erath County Courthouse Square from 5 to 9 p.m. For Texas News, we turn to a video coming to us from the State Fair of Texas.
My name is Maggie Luton, and I'm from Helotes 4-H, from Bexar County 4-H in San Antonio, Texas. I've been showing goats for 10 years, sheep for 1, and steers for 5. I started all of this when my brothers started an FFA about 5 years ago. I always went out with them to feed their goats, work their goats, and show their goats. So that's kind of how I got into it, and I fell in love with it when they were there. So I showed at the State Fair 2 years ago with a big goat, 115 pounds, and I'm not a big girl, so it was a little hard for me to show my goat, but what made me come back for my senior year, for my last year, was how welcome everybody made me feel, how awesome it was, how fun it was to be here at the State Fair. Everybody was so helpful, everybody was so welcoming. When I showed my goat, they would help me walk him if I couldn't walk him myself. So for my senior year, for my last year, I wanted that last feeling. So when I leave, then I know I have the memories of that so I can recommend it to other people when they come to State Fair. So as I said before, I've been showing goats for 10 years, and my big goal, my major goal, was to win Grand Champion. And last year at my county show, it was early January, I gladly and blessed enough to win Grand Champion goat for the first time ever. And that was the best feeling in the world, because I have worked so hard up to that point, and I think that's the biggest lesson that everybody can learn, is that hard work truly pays off, because that's what I have learned this past year. There is a lot of hard work and things that do pay off when you do this project, not only at the barn but also at shows. You do work very hard when you're working with your animals at home, but when you get here, the preparation is non-stop. When you move in, when you weigh, when you drench your animal, when you prepare it, all up to that second you go in the show ring. It's very crazy sometimes, but it truly pays off once you go in that ring and you do well.
Corpus Christi police are searching for 3 suspects after a convenience store clerk was shot during a robbery. Police say officers responding to an incomplete 911 phone call from the convenience store early Sunday morning found a 50-year-old male clerk who had been shot. The clerk was taken to a hospital but died a short time later. Store video surveillance captured images of the suspects. Police say that after walking into the store, the suspects took some items to the counter and then robbed the clerk when he opened the cash register. One of the suspects pointed a handgun at the clerk. After the clerk was shot, the suspects ran out of the store. Police say no other workers or customers were in the store at the time of the robbery. In national news, the only gun store in San Francisco is shutting down for good. The owner tells us he can no longer operate in the city's political climate of increased gun control regulations and vocal opposition to its business. For years, High Bridge Arms weathered mounting restrictions and imposed by local lawmakers and voters who passed a handgun ban in 2005 that a judge later struck down. The gun store increasingly stood out in the gentrified Bernal Heights neighborhood of hot restaurants, trendy bars, and a chic marijuana dispensary, while weathering organized campaigns calling for the store's closure. The California DOJ reported 931,000 guns sold in the last year, 3 times the number sold in 2004, and the second highest annual number since the department began keeping sales records in 1991. In the end, the manager of the store said he is tired of the continued opposition and mountains of paperwork required by the San Francisco police, state officials, and the U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Champion pistol shooter Bob Chow opened the store in 1952, 4 years after competing for the United States in the Summer Olympics in London. Chow sold the store to Andy Takahashi in 1988. Chow died in 2003. Takahashi, who also owns the building that houses the store, declined to comment. Now for more state news as well as national news, we turn to the Associated Press.
This is AP News Minute. Hundreds have been rescued from fast-moving floodwaters in South Carolina as days of driving rain have battered the state. The State Department of Transportation says at least 211 state roads and 43 bridges across South Carolina are closed due to record flooding in parts of the state. A number of brush fires are burning across Australia after record temperatures were set for the month of October in some parts of the country. Conditions were set to worsen in areas with temperatures expected to hit 104 degrees Fahrenheit on Tuesday. At least one person died and 9 more were injured when a bus carrying migrants and refugees crashed into a truck in southern Serbia. It had been transporting people northwards from Serbia's border with Macedonia. Hundreds of Catholic faithful brought their pets to be blessed to the Basilica of St. Francis of Assisi in the Peruvian capital Lima on Sunday. The event is organized by the Friends of Animals Association, which has maintained the tradition of pets receiving blessings for 28 years. Matthew Burgoyne, The Associated Press, with AP News Minute.
Today's weather is brought to you by weather.com. Today, we should see a high of 81 degrees with winds out of the north at 6 miles per hour. We have a 0% chance of rain, and we should see a low of 58 degrees tonight. Today's broadcast was produced by Dalton Wolverton, Alejandro Arguin, and Justin Pack. You can watch Texan TV News live Monday through Friday at 12:30 p.m. on Northland Cable Channel 9. Don't forget to tell your friends about us and become a fan of Texan TV News on Facebook. I'm Katie Armstrong, and tune in on Monday for the latest news from the Tarleton State University campus here in Stephenville, Texas.